on the Gainbridge Ball State Cardinals Sports Network. From Learfield, this is the ChirpCast, your source for everything Ball State athletics. Now, here is the voice of the Cardinals, Mick Tidrow.
One more final regular season ChirpCast Coaches Show with head coach Mike New. We'll also talk with Malcolm Lee and Will Jones coming up, previewing Miami, looking at the season as a whole, talking about their senior seasons here on ChirpCast of the Coaches Show. Joined always by head coach Mike New. Check us out on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, wherever you find your podcast. Make sure to just search ChirpCast, and we'll be right there. Coach, appreciate you jumping on as always.
It's good to be here.
So, Coach, we're 11 games for the season. We have one more regular season game left. I think we all knew this season would fly by as much as it did. But I'm just sitting back here, getting back from Omaha, and thinking we have one more regular season game left. What gives?
It always goes fast. You try to tell the guys that all the time. Even back when they very first start their career as a true freshman, and you come in and you try to tell them then, man, it goes fast. So embrace every moment that you have. Take advantage of every moment that you have. And, the next thing you know, you look up and where did 4 years go? Where did 5 years go? So, and that's the same, every season. You start out and next thing you know, it's like, man, I can't believe we're already halfway through the season. I can't believe we're already sneaking up towards the end of the season. But it's here. And obviously, we got a lot on the line here for our last game next Tuesday night at Miami, and focused on having a great week here. Love the way the guys have come back into the meeting room. And look, it's got to be all positive vibes, and we got to attack it. We got to have a great week here and finish this thing off strong.
Definitely want to talk about the week of preparation ahead in Miami. We'll talk about Malcolm and Will and what they've meant to the program overall as well, coming up here on ChirpCast, the Coaches Show. But I want to just ask, Mike, year 7 is every year getting faster and faster as it goes along. We're sitting here talking about week 12 already, but now you're 7 years into this. Does it feel like the season's going quicker every year?
It really does. Every season you get so excited. A lot goes into it in terms of preparation and planning and all that. And it's just, it's every day though, when I drive to the office every single morning, very thankful and appreciative to be the head coach at Ball State. This is a great place, and to be the head coach at your alma mater is certainly special. And so I don't ever take 1 second for granted, 1 day for granted. And yes, it's hard to believe, to look up and go, man, yes, year 7 has come, and it's already approaching the end of year number 7, which is hard to believe. But we're not done yet.
Right, absolutely. Not done yet at all. A lot to play for, like you said, against Miami coming up in Oxford on Tuesday. How much has your family sat back and just said this has been a wild 7 years too?
No question. It starts with support, and I'm so thankful. My wife, Charmin, and my 3 kids have been awesome in terms of just supporting, this opportunity, embracing, this opportunity way back when it first started. And so, it's a lot of time has gone by, and you see them grow, and you see them mature, and obviously I've been so thankful to have such unbelievable support from my family, and obviously my being the youngest of 8 kids, and being able to have my family, which a lot of them are still around the Indianapolis area, to be able to have them here for home games, and a lot of the away games for that matter. It's just been awesome. It's icing on the cake, and I cherish those moments.
With that, Coach Mike New on the Coaches Show ChirpCast, looking at Miami coming up here in just a few moments, and talking about Malcolm and Will as well. Coach, just looking back at Ohio real quick, when you turn the tape on, what jumps out?
Well, the biggest thing is, you cannot lose a turnover battle against a good football team like that. We lost the turnover battle the other night. We got ourselves down early in the game there by 2 scores, and they've been very consistent. In my opinion, Ohio's been the most consistent team in our conference all year long, and they do a good job of running their system. They what I kind of call clock control type of offensive system. They do a good job of that, and they don't have very many self-inflicted wounds. And so when you look back at the tape, and there's a lot of positive things that showed up on tape, and when you get behind and you lose the turnover battle like that against a good football team, they've won 6 in a row for a reason, and it starts with that. And we got to make sure that this is out the mud time of year. You never know what kind of weather you're going to get, so taking care of the football, being great with ball security, because you see it when you turn the games on and you watched the games last night. That can happen, and you never know for sure what conditions will be like, but you got to keep taking care of business and making sure that you win the turnover battle.
You talk about the game last night, Central Michigan, Western Michigan. I don't know if I could see the lines at all at any point in the game.
Well, I had no idea that was going on, and then, we're in the film room, obviously studying, attacking our game plan, and then, in the corner of the room, it popped up on the TV, and I was like, is that going on right now? And so, yeah, you've seen games like that on TV, but, to see that, like you said, you couldn't even see the field, so it was, you have no idea what yard line you were on. You had no idea where the line to gain was. So certainly the elements were challenging in that game last night.
Reminded me of the Cleveland-Buffalo game a few years ago, or was it Cleveland-Buffalo? That had all the snow, or is it this year that they're projecting 6 feet of snow for Cleveland Buffalo?
How about that?
Yeah, 6 feet.
6 feet. Yeah, what's that going to look like? The facilities crew is going to have to be ready to roll, because that will be challenging, and it'll be interesting watching that.
Yeah, we didn't see that much snow against Ohio. Just some flurries for the first half, and then turned to that rain last game. You mentioned the ball security and trying to be able to work on some of those details. You also mentioned the positive aspects of the Ohio game. What were some of those?
I still think the way our guys play from an effort standpoint is really good from start to finish. Defensively, our guys have been consistent all year long. It's good to see, the defense continue to play like that. Obviously, with a couple of the turnovers and giving them extra possessions, we put them in a bad field position a couple times. And offensively too, it's obviously we lost Carson there late in the first half, or in the second quarter there. And, for John to step up and make some plays, and then to see, some of the guys, especially the young tight ends, continue to make some plays there, was good. So guys did a good job of fighting. We got ourselves in position, where we were within one score late and had a chance, but ultimately when the time came to make a play, we didn't get it done.
What was it like going up against that Rourke offense, where they continued to work no huddle, quick pace, but then slow things down? So they try to get to the line as fast as possible, then reset. How challenging is that?
Well, it is. They do. They do a good job. You got to give them credit. It's their system. They do it. Operated at a high level, and they did it again. Certainly the other night, they controlled the time of possession. I believe they had it almost 36 minutes, or right at 36 minutes. So you got to give them credit, because it is challenging. When they get to the line of scrimmage, and then they use a lot of that 40-second play clock there, chew it up before they snap the ball. So challenges you mentally, and you got to have great discipline, but you got to give them credit. Certainly they've done it at a high level.
You mentioned when Carson went down, John started to play excellent football, making the passes over the middle, hitting the tight ends. How did you see him respond once Carson went down?
Yeah, obviously we knew that, the balance that we strive to have and balance that we'd like to have, that might change a little bit in terms of what we were doing offensively. So I think, John just did a good job, and the guys on the perimeter did a good job of, trying to make sure they win their one-on-ones, and when they had a chance to make a play, make sure we get that done.
With head coach Mike New on the Coaches Show, ChirpCast, looking back at Ohio. Now let's go into Miami, Ohio. It's 2 5-6 teams. It's a Redbird rivalry. One win for each team, bowl eligibility. Chance for Ball State to go 2-0 in trophy games this year. There's a lot hanging in the balance. You mentioned it earlier. What does this one mean?
It means everything. Both teams, as you mentioned, are competing and fighting for the exact same thing. You win, you're bowl eligible, and that's the focus. It is a rivalry game, the Redbird rivalry. Obviously, the last 2 years, they've won that contest. So our guys know exactly what's at stake here. It's still all about making sure we're committed to the process of having a great week of practice here, be locked in and focused in the meetings, do a great job of studying our opponent on tape and getting ourselves ready to go for next Tuesday night. You
mentioned studying the opponent on tape. With the Redhawks, they've played two different quarterbacks throughout much of the year because Brett Gabbert suffered an injury earlier this season. Avion Smith has had to come in and play. Gabbert didn't play against Northern Illinois. How tough can that be as a coach trying to figure out which quarterback's going to go and game planning for that situation?
Yeah, it happens, though. We've been in similar situations this year defensively where, prepared for two quarterbacks, two that are a little bit different. Obviously, when we were preparing for Toledo, there's two quarterbacks that could potentially play in that game that are both a little bit unique. So won't be the first time that we've had to prepare for that. And, obviously Brett Gabbert has played a lot of great football in his career there, led him to a MAC title a few years back. And, obviously what Avion Smith did, especially last night, obviously with his legs, and he made some big plays in the passing game as well. So it's two guys that obviously are capable of stepping in, running the offense, and got a lot of tape where we can study them and get ourselves prepared to go. And I know Coach Stockton and the defensive staff will get that done.
You mentioned running quarterbacks with Smith and Miami, really good runner. C.J. Harris came in for the Ohio game after Rourke went down, and he's one of those run-first running or quarterbacks as well that made a couple of strong passes, but mostly tried to run with his legs and facilitate things on the offensive side through Ohio. Just going back to that game real fast because I wanted to touch on the defensive effort from the aspect once Harris came in. How were you able to lock him down as much as you did?
Obviously, our guys handled that situation well when it came up in the game. Obviously, Curtis went out there right at the end of the second quarter, and we had to regroup and be ready to go. But obviously, their offense is their offense. They're going to continue to run that, and obviously in the second half, especially when they have a lead like that. But I think our defense did a great job of getting some stops in order to give us the ball back and really ultimately get us back in the football game where we were within striking distance there. Obviously our defense is always going to be locked in for a four-quarter battle. They did that certainly the other night against Ohio, and we're going to have to be ready to do that again.
And flipping the script to your offense, what do you want to see in this final game against Miami in the regular season to make sure that it's at where it needs to be at to win that game?
Yeah, again, I hate to keep preaching the same thing here, but we got to win the turnover battle. We got to sustain drives. And when you look back at the last two contests, the last couple years against Miami, we lost the turnover battle. They were both one possession games, and it's too critical in this conference when you're, week in, week out. It's a slugfest. A lot of one possession games. Miami's been in a lot of one possession games. We've been in a lot of one possession games. It's a slugfest. When you get down to the end of the year and you play these action games, obviously it's in November. You could be dealing with the elements, but whoever can handle that the best and make sure, first and foremost, that you win the turnover battle are going to give yourself the best chance to win.
Outside of Smith and Gabbert, what else sticks out about Miami overall? Yeah,
obviously they've had several running backs that have stepped in and done a lot of good things for them. Mac Hippenhammer's, he had a really big game, obviously last night against Northern. So they've got some guys, and they got some tight ends too. Their tight ends obviously have made some plays. So, we got to be ready to go. Obviously it's a good football team, and if you look at them from a defensive standpoint too, the linebackers are really putting up some huge numbers. Obviously they do a good job of letting those guys run free and make a lot of tackles. So, we got to do a good job here of having a great game plan and going out and executing.
You talked about the tight ends for Miami. It seems like every team in the MAC this year has at least one tight end that goes and makes plays either with red zone touchdowns or plays down the seams. Ball State obviously has two unicorn tight ends, the only team in the country that has two tight ends with at least 4 touchdowns. And we're seeing the takeover from tight ends. What's it like to see all these different tight ends and have to game plan for that?
Yeah, well, I think it just speaks to how those guys are utilized within offenses. When you got those guys on the field that have the skill set that some of them do, that we played all year long, obviously keeping them in the game, they're going to be able to complement you. You want them on the field from a blocking standpoint, from a size standpoint, but then at the same time having the athleticism that some of the guys do that we've seen, then you can split those guys out, take advantage of a mismatch in the passing game, or certainly it's a big target too when you talk about some 50-50 balls and guys having a chance to come down and make a play. So that's no different. Obviously with Brady and with Tanner for us, those guys have grown week after week and made a bunch of big plays.
What's the evolution from what you've seen in your coaching career, your playing career at the tight end position? Because it seems like now more and more they catch and block so well. What was it like when you played compared to what you see now?
We still, obviously we've had some really good tight ends even back when I was here as a player, and guys that similar in terms of stature that had good size, and obviously back then offenses were more run heavy and play action probably than they are now. But I think, still you've seen that tight end position can be invaluable to your offense, especially when they can bring the skill set that the two young men, certainly in Brady and Tanner, when they have that type of skill set, they can really, add a nice little dimension to your offense.
We're with head coach Mike New on ChirpCast, the Coaches Show, looking at Ohio and Miami, Ohio as well in the final game of the regular season. Coach, Chuck Barton, 9th season. You and Chuck are two of the longest tenured coaches in the Mid-American Conference. What's the respect level like with Chuck? Yeah,
I mean, obviously consistency. He's done such a good job there to be there for 9 years. And, Miami's always right in the thick of things year in, year out. So give them a ton of credit for that. Obviously, you're going to get their best effort every single week. They're going to be a team that plays well in all three phases. And you're not going to be able to look at a team when you're going into a matchup versus Miami and say, well, they're weak here or they're weak there. I mean, it's just a good, well-rounded, balanced football team, and you got to bring your A game. You got to play your best football, and obviously, just like every team, every team across the country has to deal with injuries, and they've done a good job of dealing with some of the challenges that they've had.
Yeah, Miami definitely has had to face that adversity. They're picked first in the East in the media poll, second in the East in the coaches poll. They've had to deal with Gabbard being out, lots of injury pieces, but still fighting for bowl eligibility as well. Coach, before we let you go, I want to talk about two seniors that we're going to have on the show today. Malcolm Lee, Will Jones, both honored for Senior Day. Starting off with Malcolm, his journey has gone from a player that was on special teams doing everything he could to now starting and being one of those leaders in the backfield. What has he meant?
I don't even know if I can put that into words. Malcolm has been awesome ever since he arrived here, and to see how hard he's worked to get to where he's at right now. As you mentioned, the early part of his career here, the most significant playing time he was seeing at that time was on special teams, but he embraced that role, and he was a huge difference maker for us on special teams, and still is. And so to see him grow into the role that he's in now, that's just a credit to his hard work, over a long period of time, and fighting and scratching and clawing to figure out a way to keep, to get himself on the field where he can be in a starting role like he is. And, he's on our leadership council. He's as tough as they come. Malcolm's one of those guys that, he's going to be ready to go every week. He's going to give you everything he's got in the weight room. He's going to give you everything he's got on the field, whether it's practice, whether it's a game. He's been awesome to be around. And I know for him to trust our staff back when he made the decision to commit to Ball State, it's awesome, because that's a long way from home, in Alabama there. And, Malcolm's been awesome just to be able to see his growth, his development, his maturity, and everything that goes into it. So very proud of everything that he's accomplished. We're not done yet, but certainly Malcolm's had a phenomenal career here.
How about Will Jones?
Same thing. I think about Will Jones, and you tell the story all the time to young men that enter your program as a walk-on. And, Will took a chance on himself. He bet on himself when he walked on here at Ball State, and no different than Malcolm. Will, early on in his career, made such a huge impact on special teams. And whenever you turn the tape on, you knew that Will was going to be down there wreaking havoc. And then to see him just grow to earn a scholarship and then continue to grow his role offensively. Will's played some huge snaps and a huge role for us over the years offensively, and he too is such a success story like Malcolm that you get what you work for, not what you wish for. And these two men, they embody that statement as much as anybody that's been through our program. So it's been an honor to be able to coach those two young men, to see their careers be shaped the way that they have, and they're without question going to be unbelievable impact in the community that they end up going to, whatever they end up pursuing life after football. These two guys are going to be as good as it gets, and they're going to go make a difference in our world.
We'll talk with both Malcolm and Will coming up here on ChirpCast and the Coaches Show. Mike, appreciate you having time to jump on as always and talking about Ohio, Miami, Ohio, Malcolm and Will, and best of luck coming up against the Red Hawks in the Redbird rivalry.
Well, I appreciate it, and thanks for having me on as always.
That's head coach Mike New on ChirpCast, the Coaches Show. We'll have Malcolm and Will coming up, powered by Learfield.
All right, Pepsi-loving football fans, it's time we had a lesson in trash talk. And I'm not talking about that stuff that happens on the field. What I'm talking about is trash, and it's the only thing that belongs in your garbage can. No, recycling might not be as thrilling as converting a 4th and long, but next time you're thinking about throwing that Pepsi Zero Sugar bottle away, just cap it back up and pretend you're down by 6 with the recycling bin wide open. Know the difference? Make a difference. Be a team player and recycle. Visit PepsiTrashTalk.com to learn more.
Welcome back into ChirpCast, the Coaches Show. We just talked with head coach Mike New, looking at the season as a whole, talking about Ohio, Miami, Ohio, and also talking about this guy, Malcolm Lee, and Will Jones, who's joining us next on the Coaches Show. Malcolm, thanks for jumping on.
No problem. Thanks for having me.
Of course. So, Malcolm, you were one of the 22 seniors that went through the Senior Day festivities against Ohio. Mm-hmm. What was that moment like for you to partake in those?
It was a great moment. I mean, I came in as a gray shirt in 2018. So, really, my recruiting class left last year, so I kind of had 2 senior days. So, and I walked last year too. So, it was just a great experience, especially knowing that this was actually the last one. Kind of wish that it would have ended the opposite way that it did, but still a great moment. I mean, a lot of memories here in the stadium, a lot of memories with the guys, a lot of memories with the coaches. So, I mean, it was just great to, be recognized on that night.
You talk about walking twice last year and then this year. What was the biggest difference between the two?
Win and a loss. But
that's fair.
Other than that, just the guys I was walking with last year was more of the guys that I went with. And this year, I mean, these were guys that I've been here since they came in, and they've been here for a long journey along with me. So it's just a great experience. Even the ones that came in this past year and haven't been here very long, I mean, you build relationships in that locker room in a matter of minutes and days, so it's just a great feeling to be recognized with a group of guys that's as good as this one. So
it also just goes to show how fast 4 or 5 years can move, right?
Yeah,
because it seems like when you put your head down and just play football and you're ready to attack every day and try to go win every day, it just shows how fast it goes.
It'll move. So yeah.
Malcolm, let's talk about that journey from when you first got to Ball State to where you're at now. How has that evolved for you into the player that you are today?
I mean, I honestly don't think that, not just being a player, but I think that me being a person in general, Ball State and this experience has just helped me just grow as a man, especially me being from Mobile, Alabama. I'm far from home. I don't really get to see my family as much. Kind of just taught me how to, be on my own, taught me how to, network, use the people around you, to, better yourself and get what you need, and also to be that for the people around you as well, I try to, keep a consistent attitude and approach every day, but just get better, not just as a player, but as a person, being away from home, that it can get tough, but when you have a group of guys in a locker room and a type of family that we have around here, it doesn't make it as bad. You kind of have just a family here and then a family back at home. So it's been a great experience. I would say that, I've grown as a player, just continuing to work hard, didn't really have that many snaps in my early in my career, but just kept working, and the guys around here, like I said, this family around here is really the reason that I could do it and withstand being far from home and everything. So it's just been a great experience. I feel like I've grown as a person more than I have as a player being here, and I thank Ball State for that.
You talk about being from Mobile, talk about being away from family and building a second family with Ball State. Mm-hmm. Why did you choose to come here from Mobile and pursue Division I football at Ball State?
Well, it was my best option that I had coming out of high school. I kind of had an injury coming out, kind of limited my options. A lot of the schools that were closer to home, of course, you're going to want to play closer to home so your family can make the games and stuff like that. But this was one of the options that stayed with me through my injury. And, I mean, it ended up being the right option. I mean, I can be more thankful for everything that's happened up to this point. Couldn't be more thankful. So, but this was a great decision. My first offer overall was Ball State. So it's always been love, and it's always been, a good connection with me and Coach New. And, everyone who was on the staff when I was getting recruited. So, yeah.
Seems like a common theme among a lot of the players that even though players do go through injuries in high school, Ball State is stuck with players. So you're definitely not the first one we've talked to where Ball State is stuck with players through those injuries in high school. How important was that to you to be able to look at the coaching staff, the team, players in the eyes and say, this team really is loyal and wants me to be there?
Right. It's first off, that was a great feeling because back at that time, it was really depressing knowing that I really couldn't play my senior year. With the guys that, you grow up with. You play park ball and you play middle school and high school ball with them, and, that's your last time really playing with those guys. And me missing out on that senior year was already depressing enough. And then, me getting offers taken away and things like that. But I actually remember vividly talking to Coach New on the phone, him telling me that he has my back through the labrum surgery that I had. And even though I had the gray shirt because of the injury, they stuck with me, and that's really all I could ask for. I mean, scholarship, good education, I got a degree, built relationships with guys that I'm going to remember for the rest of my life. I really can't ask for more.
How important was it to you to stay loyal to Ball State and work as hard as you can to make sure that you were growing just as much as they were giving to you in that moment too?
That was important because, they could have very well pulled the offer away, just like all the other schools, but they didn't. They saw something in me, and I seen something in this school. I knew, even though I didn't really have the type of playing time that I initially wanted, when I was younger and everything like that, but it just pushed me to work harder. Didn't really want to turn my back on the guys. Didn't want to turn my back on the program. Even though it was times that it was tempting to, not playing as much. I mean, that's how every competitor feels, but, just sticking through it. I mean, I feel like it not only, was me owing Ball State, but it was me owing myself because I always believed that I could, really play here and be a factor here. And I really just, as much as I believed in the program and believed in Coach New, I believed in myself. So I feel like it was all just hand in hand, and I feel like it was just, all meant to be.
How did special teams make you a better player?
Man, special teams is because, first off, special teams, you only get one shot to go out there. When I was younger and those were the only reps that I was getting, I had to make the most of those reps. So, that's the way I look at it. Some guys may look at special teams as just, a couple plays, here and there. But back then when I was younger, man, I felt like that was my time to really show that, I really belong here and I belong to play, for this program. And it was just really my only opportunities to really, showcase myself. And I just wanted to make the most of them. And, I still do. I still want to make the most of every play that I play. And, nothing's changed. Just want to keep, making the most of my opportunities, whatever the role is. So just buying into the role, that's made me a better player, and made me a better teammate as well because, you gain respect like that, not treating special teams as just, something that you just got to go out there and do now, because it's really important. Special teams is way more important than people think. And so I just took it like that and just wanted to play my role as good as I can.
We're talking with Malcolm Lee on ChirpCast, the Coach's Show. Already talked with head coach Mike New. We'll talk with Will Jones as well to highlight some seniors after the senior day game against Ohio. Malcolm, you talk about some of the challenges that you had before you got to Ball State with the labrum injury and going through special teams. But once you got to Ball State and you've been here through the program as long as you have, what have been the individual challenges that you've gone through since you've been on campus, since you've been a student athlete here at Ball State that have helped you get to where you are today?
Perseverance of just like I said earlier, not being around my family a lot. I don't really get to see my family throughout the years as much as probably a lot of people that live closer to Ball State. But just, staying focused, just got to keep going, I feel like that's really been my mindset throughout all the years of being here. Just got to keep going, because I got people depending on me. Just like, I depend on them, and, I don't want to let anybody down. And I know the only way I let my people down is if I give up, But so as long as I keep going and keep, doing what I do and doing it at my best effort, that's the only thing that can really that'll make them prouder than anything. So I mean, it's really just about making my people proud. I think that's what drove me, and I think that's what's allowed me to learn as much as I learned throughout these years. Just being able to, put what I want aside, which is to be closer to home and everything, because that's really the biggest thing, just being close to home. But being able to put that aside, and I mean, like I said earlier, the guys around this locker room, the guys in this program, they help me get through that, because it can be tough. But, just persevering, it just helped me be more patient as a person. All of these, everything that I've learned in this football facility, I can take it to my everyday life. So I just try to be the best person that I can be.
You mentioned being around a lot of the guys in the locker room, leaning on those players. Will Jones, one of those players that you've had a lot of time to spend with. We'll talk with him coming up here on the Coach's Show. What has it been like to play football with Will as long as you have and establish that type of relationship?
Man, me and Will's been getting each other better since I stepped foot on this campus. Will, first off, one thing about Will, he's going to bring it every day. No matter what type of situation. He could be hurt and inactive, but he's still gonna bring it to whatever he's doing, whether he's on the bike or whether he's running, like he's gonna bring it. So I mean, and that having teammates like that bring that out of you, personally. So like it's just a good thing having teammates like Will. They bring the best out of you. They juice you up, whenever you need it. Whenever you're feeling down, you always got people like Will that's gonna get it rolling. Whenever you have a bad start, he's gonna be the one that gets the crowd going, or gets the team going. So it's just been it's been a pleasure playing with Will. Been a pleasure playing with the rest of the seniors. I feel like we all feed off each other real well, and that's my locker mate too. So we have a pretty strong connection. So that's my dog.
Oh, I didn't know you guys were locker mates.
Yes.
Like, how does that work out? Is it random, or did you get to pick?
Well, for us, it's, the first 9 guys, the top 9 guys in the program, like the team captains or whatever. So me and him are like right next to each other. So, that's my guy, man.
You get to talk as much as you want to each other, but also how much do you guys go back and forth on, and like at practices? He's on the offense, you're on the defense, having the competitive fire in practices to make each other better, and then off the field saying, hey, well, we could do this better, we can help each other this way.
Yeah, well, like I said, since I came in, I mean, me and Will's been going at it and getting each other better. So on the field, it's always going to be competitiveness. It's always going to be, me and him going at it because he plays offense, I play defense, especially when we're in camp, where it's really just our defense versus the offense. So, but whenever we get back in the locker room, it's always going to be love. It's always going to be about how we can get better. It's always going to be that. And but we're always going to bring it to the practice field every time.
Malcolm, one more regular season game left against Miami, Ohio. Redbird rivalry trophy game, 2 teams at 5-6, looking at bowl eligibility. What do you want to see from the team overall next Tuesday?
I just want to see everybody put it all on the line. I just want everybody to just come with everything that they possibly can. Whether this was for a bowl game or not, like this, first off, this is a rival game. We done lost the last 2. I feel like that. Besides the bowl game, besides anything like that, we got to go get that trophy back regardless of whether we was going to a bowl game or not. That's really the importance of this game to me. Go get that trophy and do it for the guys that were here last year and the year before. We got to go get that back. So this one's really for them and for the team, for the program, and for the bowl game, yeah.
Well, Malcolm, go get that trophy. Go finish this off in the regular season.
Yes, sir.
Appreciate you jumping on ChirpCast, the Coach's Show. Thank you.
No problem.
That's Malcolm Lee, defensive back for Ball State, joining us on ChirpCast and the Coach's Show. We'll sit down with Will Jones coming up next, talk about his journey throughout Ball State football.
All right, Pepsi-loving football fans, it's time we had a lesson in trash talk. And I'm not talking about that stuff that happens on the field. What I'm talking about is trash, and it's the only thing that belongs in your garbage can. Now, recycling might not be as thrilling as converting a 4th and long, but next time you're thinking about throwing that Pepsi Zero Sugar bottle away, just cap it back up and pretend you're down by 6 with the recycling bin wide open. Know the difference? Make a difference. Be a team player and recycle. Visit PepsiTrashTalk.com to learn more.
Another senior to talk to on Ball State football, Will Jones, running back. We've already sat down with Malcolm Lee, defensive back. Head coach Mike New broke down the season, looked at Ohio, Miami, Ohio, talked about senior day, everything in between, what this week means for Ball State football going up against the Miami of Ohio Redhawks in the Redbird rivalry. Will, thanks for jumping on. It's great to have you on the show.
Yeah, appreciate you having me.
So, Will, we just talked to Malcolm, and you guys are locker roommates, one of the 9 on the leadership council. We have to start with you and Malcolm. We got his side of the story and how close you guys are. What's it been like to be teammates with Malcolm?
Yeah, Malcolm's a good dude. Yeah, we do share lockers, so we're pretty close all the time. But yeah, Malcolm's a great guy. He's a great teammate to have. You know, he's been he's been through a lot throughout his journey through Ball State, like he mentioned earlier. But yeah, he's a great teammate to talk to about anything. Actually, I'm borrowing a space heater right now. He just gave me one. But you know, yeah, he'll do anything for you. He's really built in loyalty, and yeah, and in practice, you know, we go at it each other. The other day we bumped knees and just making sure we're all good at the end of the play. But yeah, he's an aggressive player, and he's a great guy.
So you share a space heater, okay? Yeah. And we know teammates share as much as possible, right? When a teammate needs help, go out and help your teammate and share a space heater. I love that. That's pretty funny. And in Muncie today, it's what, 27 degrees, 30 degrees. So definitely need a space heater. You talk about the competitiveness with Malcolm and the rest of that defense in training camp up to this point in the season. How do you continue to have that competitive edge in practices against people like Malcolm when you see them every single day?
Right, yeah. I don't think I've ever gotten in a fight with Malcolm, first off, so we're all good on that. But, yeah, I would say, you know, the defense is going to go hard every play. We're going to go hard every play, especially in fall camp because, you know, we're seeing each other all the time. So it's kind of, you know, it's even more aggression. But now as the season started, you know, we got the scout team going. And 2 guys I think on the scout team were like Danny Royster and Dakari Frazier. Like, they've really gave us a good look. You know, they've been really aggressive sometimes, and it's just like those guys. You know, they make us better, and you know, it's great to have those people.
Why is the scout team important? You just said it makes you better, but digging into the details, why is it so important?
Yeah, I mean, I was on scout team for like 3 years, and it's a big job. Even though, you know, some people may overlook you sometimes, but it's a good stepping stone to get to where you want to go. And yeah, you just gotta. It's a good place to prove like what you have, because you're going against starters every day, and it makes you better. And if you go hard, super hard, you know, it's going to make them better in return. So, yeah, I love the scout team. The scout team was awesome.
What are the main responsibilities of the scout team? You talk about a little bit of finding ways to challenge the offense and challenge the starters, but for you, and also trying to prove to yourself and to people that your time is coming and you have a chance to go play. What are the most important roles of the scout players?
Yeah, the scout players, like, so if you're on offense, would just be like giving a good look, you know, like reading the card and, you know, doing what they tell you to do and doing it full speed, 100% controlled aggression. Obviously, you don't want to be like running people over and like trying to hurt anyone, but and then on defense, just, you know, like if it's a look where the running backs have to block, like at the end, you know, giving a good look of them rushing up the field and just being able to put our hands inside. And yeah, I would just say good look and be aggressive.
So from your perspective, scout player when you first got here for a couple seasons, walk on, earn scholarship. Now you're here 6 years later. Let's just capture what the journey's been like for Will Jones from day one at Ball State to where you're sitting right now.
Yeah, it's been a great time. I've loved every minute of it. I really have. And 6 years, you know, getting to play 6 years was awesome. Was special. You know, but starting out, yeah, I came in as a walk-on. was with Trevor Holt. Shout out Trevor. He really helped me out a lot my freshman year. And, going as a walk-on, you could always be overlooked. Coming out of high school, you have no offers. And you kind of just bet on yourself. So being a walk-on, going through the ins and outs of just every day, just grinding, keeping your head down. And then the sophomore year, got to play a little more, got to find a role in special teams. Junior year was behind Walt and Huntley. So I played with some good backs throughout the years too. And then senior year, we've got to win. That was my senior year. Yeah, we got to win a MAC championship and go to bowl games. And just overall, it's been an amazing experience. Just getting to meet so many players, so many friends that I'll have forever. That's one thing I probably miss the most is the friendships that I've built. And but I can still keep in contact with a lot of the guys that graduated last year, and we'll always be, talking to each other and stuff. So
when you found out that you could come back for a 6th year, what was that moment like?
Yeah, it was awesome. I still felt like I had stuff to prove. I still had a little bit in the tank, so I was really excited to come back, and it's been a great decision for me. I really enjoyed this year. It's been a great year so far. Ups and downs. That's what's going to happen, but coming back was a great decision, and I just love playing ball. So it's amazing.
You talk about starting your career as a walk-on and then earning that scholarship. For you, I know it's been some time since that happened, but when that happened in that moment, what was running through your head, and how did you try to control everything that you were feeling? Yeah,
it was actually right over here. That was probably 4 years ago. That was a really special time because it just felt like everything that I had worked for finally paid off. And I started tearing up probably. I don't know. It was a special moment, especially for my mom and my dad, being able to call them after. And that was really cool. It's something I'll remember forever.
What was their reaction when you called them?
Yeah, my dad started crying. My mom, she didn't even know, she was at work, and she was just had to go outside, and she started crying. And it was a cool experience. It
seems like with moments like that, players share those moments with family members, and family members feel it so much because they understand what you're going through and how much you've worked to be better. How much have you seen your family stick with you for all these 6 years of Ball State football? Yeah, my family, they've always been in my corner, and they've always known that, I can do anything I want, I set my mind to. They've always been so supportive, and, they go to all my games. Like my dad last year drove all the way to Wyoming from Anderson, Indiana. So dedication.
Yeah, dedication.
That's not 10 minutes.
Yeah, no. He loves it though. He's gonna miss it for sure. He might miss it more than me, but they've been so supportive, and they love coming to the games. They love Ball State, and something that they'll miss too.
So you're one of 22 seniors, ranging from 4-year seniors to 5-year seniors to 6-year seniors, honored against Ohio. What was that moment like for you on Tuesday to go through that?
Yeah, it was like Malcolm, it was our second time going out there. It was special, seeing your family out there, seeing your mom, dad, and just being able to do it again, I guess, for the second time was nice. It was still special. And just going out with all those guys that, we've been with throughout the years. And like Malcolm said, some of those guys we've seen come in, and it's kind of crazy they're already graduating because I feel like they just came in a few years ago, and now they're graduating. So, yeah, it was a special moment, and I just wish the game would have went the other way, but yeah.
How do you as a player keep track of your eligibility? I mean, with the COVID year and with redshirt years and injury years, it seems like it's changing all the time.
Right. Yeah, some people I don't even like. I feel like if you're in here more than 6 months, I feel like you've been here for like my whole time here.
Right.
I don't know why, but yeah, it is kind of crazy to. Cause some people are just like 4 years, 5 years, 6 years, some 7 years. But yeah, it's definitely. I feel like we don't even any of the teammates even know what other players are in their years anymore.
And just go out and play.
Yeah,
just be a teammate,
exactly.
Go out and play.
Yeah.
I think Northern Illinois has a player in his 8th season.
Yeah.
First time in NCAA history that we've seen a player with 8 years of eligibility. I think it said that his freshman year, his current freshman teammates were in 6th grade.
Yeah.
That's just
thing.
how wild that is with the scope of where college football is at right now.
Right. Like when I was a senior in high school, like Tanner Cozio was like 7th grade.
Yeah, weird is that?
Like that. Yeah. It's weird.
And now he's out wide to the right. You're in the backfield at the same time. College
6
football
years
just
older than him.
Right. It's just a wild balance that we've seen from college football. Will, what will you look back most fondly about with your journey at Ball State? Yeah,
I would say what I'll miss the most definitely be the team. The players. We all became brothers. And the coaches too. We're with them so much. Like we're so close. I would say that's the most, like, the biggest thing I'll miss. Because, I've done football for a fourth of my life, like 6 years. So this is really, like, all I've known for a while. So it's definitely going to be a change. But, yeah, I'm going to miss Ball State. I love Ball State. And, I love Ball State football, too, so.
What's left to accomplish? One regular season game. You talked about a little bit earlier in the press conference about your mentality is 2 games left. Beat Miami, go to a bowl game. What's left to finish?
Yeah, we're ready. We're ready for next week. We just got to focus on ourselves, really. The coaches will put us in good positions and just go out on the practice field like we do every day, work hard, and just, I think if we work hard and have confidence in what we do, we're going to like the outcome. And we're just focused on this game, and then we'll start talking about the bowl after that. So we're ready, though.
All right, well, appreciate you jumping on. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
That's Will Jones, running back for Ball State football, joining us on ChirpCast, the Coaches Show, just honored at Senior Day against Ohio. Make sure to check out ballstatesports.com. One more game left. Miami, Ohio, Ball State, Redbird rivalry coming up next Tuesday, 7 p.m. in Oxford. Make sure to join us on the Gamebridge Radio Network. This has been ChirpCast of the Coaches Show, powered by Learfield.
This has been the ChirpCast with Nick Tidrow.